Welcome to Married to Portuguese. On each episode, my English-Irish husband, Bob, and I discuss and laugh about our life and adventures in the Portuguese culture. I don't know.
Bom dia.
I don't know why that always makes me jump. I know you're going to be counting down. One, two, three, and then he slaps his hand together.
Claps my hand.
Yeah, slaps it really hard, and then I know it's coming, but it still makes me jump.
I warn you.
I know you do. I know you do. Oh, well. Hi, folks.
Bon dia again.
Yes,
Again. Well, we are just finishing up book launch week.
Oh, God, yes.
And what an exciting week it was.
It really was. It was very, very emotional for me.
Mm-hmm.
A very emotional week for me.
How so?
How so? Oh my goodness! It's just been a long work in process of, since writing my first book, I never really stopped writing.
Mm-hmm.
I always kept writing, and so and then it was. All my efforts were into getting season 1 and season 2 taken care of, that I book 2 was always on the wayside, always left aside. But I constantly wrote. And so to see it finally leave my hands, it's almost like a baby. Does that make sense? It's like,
oh, sure.
It's like another baby. And that it finally leaves home, and you hope that it does well in the world. Does that kind of...
Well, sure, you're a little bit nervous.
Yeah. And at the same time, wishing that those that have gone were here to see it all, which I know. They're always around me. I know that. But I'd like to have them physically be with me. But I think that's with anyone that's lost loved ones, you know that they're gone, but you still wish that they were here.
Yeah. So. Now, this book, which we happen to have conveniently right here, who is this dedicated to?
My grandmother, my madrinha.
Your maternal grandmother.
My maternal grandmother, Filomena. Filomena is who I dedicated the book to. She was a force to be reckoned with. My mom was always was very different than my grandmother. My grandmother was a real tough cookie. And I've said this to people before, but she'd walk in a room and everyone there, like my grown men, grown women, everybody, they kind of sat up.
Yep, she was intimidating.
Yeah, she was. And
but she was very funny.
She was hysterical. She loved dirty jokes.
That's what I remember. Of course, she said them in Portuguese.
Yeah, I know.
You told me.
I know, but she was hysterical, and she I loved her and she loved me. End of story.
And so, what was the impact on your cooking from her?
Well, for me, it was how I learned from when I was little. It started not with my mom in the kitchen. It was her in the kitchen. And for her, she loved baking. So it was, coming home from school and running up to the second floor. And I know for those that follow me know the story. But I would, she would either have something waiting for me or... we would make something together, and those are memories I'll never forget, So, and then throughout life, she passed away when she was 96.
Yeah.
So, I had her much longer than I had my parents. And so she was just an amazing woman. And with anything in life, she, all the sacrifices she made and what she went through, and she lost a child, an uncle of mine that passed away at the age of 14. And that was, things that she would tell us. And she was just a stronger, just a real strong presence, and would like always, like with anything, it would always be, keep going, always go forward. That was the thing. Sempre frente. You never let anything stop you. You just keep moving forward, always forward. And you never can stay back. You can never look back and say, oh, I woulda, I coulda, I shoulda, all of that. It was like, don't even waste your time thinking that. You always have to think forward. And so writing this and putting it all together, that's who was in my ear. That's the voice I would hear,
So, what recipes do you remember making with her?
Oh my goodness. It was, some of them got into book one, which is the fatias douradas. You would make that, or some people call it rabadas, which is, as we know as Portuguese and as well as European countries, nothing goes to waste. So
I have
bread,
no idea what those are.
what do you mean, rabadas?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh, well, I'm saying nothing goes to waste in the sense of bread. So, including bread. And these were leftover bread. And she would cut them up in slices. And it would be your version of French toast. But our version is fried. It isn't, it's just a whole different way of preserving or not throwing away bread. And if bread wasn't, dipped in egg and milk and sugar and then, fried and then tossed in more sugar and cinnamon and you would eat that, it was like, oh my God, it was like the best thing. If it wasn't that, you'd make other things with bread. It just, the bread never, it was always there. But then she would make papas for me, which is a porridge. I remember that, her making chocolate one for me, because that was a big thing. It wasn't vanilla, it was chocolate. And to me, it was chocolate pudding. That's what I thought, my God, and of course it'd come off the pan and I'd be there with a spoon, cleaning off the pot, with her. And that was the whole thing. Whatever we would make or whatever she would make, we'd enjoy together.
Yeah.
And and then she'd tell stories and she would talk and I would listen. And it was, yeah, I mean, my mom was always so busy, because she worked during the day. She'd get home from work. It was like, oh, get food on the table and get this, get this, get that. It was like no time for any of that. But my grandmother had time. So.
Yeah. That'd be hard, though. I'm just thinking from your mom's point of view. She worked first shift, your dad worked second shift, so there's always somebody at home. So your mom is tired, she gets home.
Yeah.
Your dad's leaving, her best friend's heading off to work.
Yep.
And you were a handful. So.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Stressful times.
Yeah. Well, it was not just me. There were more children than just me. But I was a handful.
Oh, they were angels, though.
Oh, yeah, I don't think so. And, but I do hear I was a handful. But my grandmother got me.
Mm-hmm.
She got me because she was a handful.
All right. So tell us about this book. How is it different or similar to the first book? Where did you go with this one?
It's a continuation. It literally is a continuation from my first. There were recipes that I did not get to put in my first because it was too emotional for me to work on and to talk about it. And so the first book, as we all know, it was for my girls and for family in preserving my family recipes. So this has a continuation of that. But then along the way, for these past years, with my traveling and cooking with others and learning to make different dishes and then coming home and making it here and then having it become part of our family dishes, I had to put it in there. I've had some people ask me if I have the same recipes that I had in the first and just added a few more. No. This is,
It's a crazy.
I
It's a
know,
crazy question.
I know,
Is this the
because
same book as the last one? But you
just kind of threw a few more in there to make it new. I guess that's how some people write their books. I don't know about that. I don't think I don't think so.
I don't know.
I've got plenty of cookbooks from, Ina Gardner and Lydia and all these others, and it's not throwing some extra stuff in their other stuff. It's all new, and this is what it is. But I will say there are 2 recipes in here that were in my first that I had to put in here because I learned lessons while making it through these years that I wanted to make sure that I shared with everybody because it's important. And one of them is my mom's sweetbread recipe, as well as the Bulgarian recipe. There are some tweaks that I learned along the way and that needed to be told. And so that everyone can be successful in making it. I mean, more successful. That's what I want from people. I want them to recreate these recipes and it be successful for them and not be so hard. So yeah, so that's, and with that, like I have other favorites. So in my other favorites, it's other jams that I learned to make along the way, as well as some other, little things again that I learned. And one of them is, how to make vanilla. It's something that I learned these years to make, and I will not be buying store-bought.
Well, we have gallons of it.
Oh, we do.
Fermenting, distilling, whatever it does, we
we do.
Gallons of it.
And I give it to my girls. I tell them exactly what they need to do. I give them to friends. It is something that once you make it, you learn how to make it, you'll always do that. So it was very eye-opening for me, the difference in how amazing it tastes, that I needed to make sure that everyone knew how to make it. So
it's interesting. It was interesting, at least to me, it was interesting. So when we decided this year, 2024, was going to be all about book 2,
yep,
and not think about TV or
nothing else
or the limelight.
yeah.
And then you started going through your recipes,
Yes.
your backlog of recipes.
Yes.
And then you were just surprised so much by how much you had written. So you did a lot of that writing by yourself. We didn't really talk about it.
No.
I really didn't get involved until the editing stage. That's when it became a little more public. So, but in all of the years and all of the writings, I know with writing book 1, it was very emotional. And was it as emotional to write this? Was it a little bit easier since you've been through it once?
It was a little bit easier. It was a little bit easier. There were still a few in there that was like, oof, okay, I'm reliving. Because when I and I've said this before, the way that I write is how I speak and how I think. So I don't write in the sense of, okay, this is my, whatever recipe, and just the name, the directions, the ingredients, and a picture. For some of those recipes, if there's a story, if there's an emotional attachment to it of any sort, I'm going to share it. And so for some of them, it's like, whoa, I am like right back to being a young kid, and I'm with everybody that I have loved and lost. And it's like all of a sudden I'm there.
Yeah.
So how can I not be emotional? So, because that's just the way that I write.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like you said, I had so much that I had enough for 200 pages here.
Yeah, it's a bigger book.
It's a bigger book, and
it's heavier. I found that when we were shipping.
Yes, it is heavier, and then I have enough for. I think I have already 100 recipes
for book 3.
For book 3 already set up. So, but I have other books I've been writing.
Other projects.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to share.
Yeah. So you took all the pictures yourself.
I did, with the exception of one, which is about lunch.
Oh, right.
And that was from Vanessa. And I give her credit on that one.
That's right. So,
but I did take all and the cover. The cover was Kelsey Garcia, who did it.
She's great.
She's amazing.
She's great. That was a fun day.
Oh my God, yeah.
A fun day with her. So the editing process and putting the book together was painstaking. I don't want to say tedious, but it was painstaking. We found a great guy, Tim, to help with the layout.
Yep, he did.
Incredible. He was a godsend.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Really, he's quite the artist. And then you mentioned Vanessa.
Yes.
Vanessa Gonzalez, who, how do we describe Vanessa? We're calling her our social media manager. I guess we had to give her a title. She's kind of our jack of all trades.
She really is. She's a student at the university, and we found her originally when she was a waitress at Tia Maria's, and she took pictures, and we asked her if she could... Good photographer. So we asked her if she could take pictures for us at an event. And
she was great to work with for that.
She was so wonderful to work with. And then after we were talking, and I said, and she said something like, "Oh, I'm available if you ever need me for, XYZ." And then after, it was like, Bob and I are like, maybe she could help us with, a few things. And I needed help in getting everything that I've had all these years, these 10 years in between, and kind of grouping everything together and kind of helping streamline stuff. And while on her off days at the university, she comes over and helps me out, and she's just a really sweet, sweet person, and I'm so happy that she's part of our team. But I know eventually I'm going to lose her because she's amazing.
She's going to have to leave the nest.
She's going to have to leave the nest because I know she's going to graduate with her degree in accounting, and she'll be off to do the amazing things that she's going to be doing in her life. But I keep telling her, I can't let you go yet.
But she was instrumental in
she really was. She really was.
Everything together.
Yeah, she really was helpful.
Your friend Monica was
my friend Monica, yes.
Big help in translating some stuff.
Yes.
And just general editing. And then your cousin Lalia.
My cousin Lalia.
Again, both big helps in
the editing.
Final stages of editing.
Yes.
And so,
you.
And me.
You.
But, it's funny, it passed through like Vanessa, me, the Monica, and Lalia, and then the publisher said, you really should run this through a professional editor. And we're thinking, it's already been through four
people. How much more can it be edited?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Just, consistencies from page to page, and how we approach things and do things, and grammar and all of that. We went to school a long time ago, so grammar's changed just a little bit, punctuation, styles, and whatnot. So that was great. And this time around, you're working with Peter Randall Publishing, or helping with the distribution.
Yes.
We still self-published. They are helping with the distribution, and they've been a great help.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have. And
they have.
It takes a lot of people.
It does. It really does. It does take a village. It really does. And it just so happens that our village is just really amazing. Yes. Very lucky of that.
Yeah, I'm thinking, we love everybody.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah, we really do. So then it got launched.
Yep.
And then Amazon, Frassen.
Amazon had a hiccup. We're sorry for everybody.
Yeah,
pre-ordered starting back in July.
Not everybody got the thing. Some people got that message. Some people didn't get the message.
It seems like the earliest pre-orders were the ones that were hiccuped. But
you know what? But I heard from some that said, I got that message.
Yeah.
And then the next day they had it delivered. So it's
hard to say.
I don't know what happened, but
out of our control.
It is out of our control.
We are sorry, and we shipped a bunch from
Yes.
here. We had
Oh.
copies that Maria signed. Still
Yeah.
available, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Great gifts for Christmas and Hanukkah,
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, whatever other times you're buying.
No, it
books
was
for.
wonderful. And then when we brought everything to the post office and it filled up bins, I'm like, oh my God, we've got to take a picture of this. This is amazing.
That was fun. Yeah, the
That
shipping
was-
department was tired that weekend.
Yeah, you.
That was me.
That was him.
I'm the shipping department.
He's the shipping department. But no, and then once everyone started getting it, and then the messages started coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all beautiful.
Yeah, we appreciate how much you appreciate.
Yeah, and how much you
appreciate the
love
book.
it already.
So we've got one book signing under our belt here.
Yes.
Here locally at
Yep.
the Barnes and Noble, and
Yep.
it's fun to see people that you don't get to see too often, but now you have regulars.
Yes,
And-
it was wonderful to see familiar faces from past events. People who had just been to the Zeitarian event that they didn't know they had to pay extra for the VIP room. And so, but they had bought books at the event. So they came to that and they were like, oh my God. So we were talking about that event. We had people who had been on our trip. They showed up for the signing.
It was great to see them.
Oh
again.
my goodness, it was so good to see them. And then we met people who we had seen at other book signings that made it to this one. People who came, they were like, hey, we're going to go on a trip with you.
Yeah, people have already booked for
Already booked for our trip.
June?
For June. They're like, we're here for you to sign, but guess what? We're traveling with you. And people who I haven't seen in a while. And all of a sudden it was like, we're all hugging each other because it's almost like a little homecoming of sorts, which is really great.
Yeah, the book signings are a blast.
They really are.
Because it's a party.
Yeah.
And Maria gives everybody their due time.
I do. I don't rush it. I don't
Makes
rush.
me nervous, but she's doing the right thing.
I
Folks
don't.
are waiting in line, and so she gives you the time and talks to everybody.
I do.
And it's great to see folks in line talking to each other or involved in the discussion up at the table.
Oh,
as
yeah.
Maria and folks are talking about recipes or places on the islands.
Oh,
or the
God, yeah.
mainland,
Oh, yeah.
Or we may be primas, whatever the story is.
Yes.
Everybody's involved. It's really
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and to the point where we finished up at the Barnes and Noble, and the two women
Who were
worked
working there.
the two young ladies, they came over and they hung out with us for a
They
while. So that was
did.
like another 15
They
or 20
did.
minutes just talking to them.
And they were like, this was such a great, book signing. People were lining up before you got here. The line stayed the whole time.
Yeah.
And, the line never got empty. Everyone was there. And then they did. They wanted to talk to me about certain things and stuff. And then they had me signing some books that they had so that they could sign it. They could sell it with, as autographed copies. So yeah, it was a wonderful night. But this week, we're looking at doing, this coming week, we've got a couple more to do. And then another one, the end of November, right after Thanksgiving, will be at Portugalia. And then in December, we'll be in Stoughton, and then the following week in Quincy. So we've got a lot to go.
Yeah, there's one in Warwick
Oh, that's right. There's one in Rhode Island too.
coming up as well. And then we'll give it a break.
Yes,
Your January and February are full already.
they're already booked.
And then we'll look at book signings in
The spring.
Toronto.
In the spring.
We would like to.
Yeah.
Toronto, and we'll see where else we can get to where it makes sense.
Yeah. But until then,
I think we've
we
covered
think
it.
we've covered everything.
All right.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you again. Thank you for all the love.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we'd love to hear your ideas for topics. Ciao!